Back. After 2 years of a pandemic, many are still experiencing mental health issues. And even if you're put on some kind of medication, it doesn't always fix the problem. That's what happened to one patient who went to over 20 different doctors and never found relief. But after visiting an alternative psychiatrist who used a holistic approach, she was finally properly diagnosed.
I had already lost so much. I had to close my practice of 22 years. I'm an acupuncture physician. I was home all the time. I could barely leave the house.
Adrienne Sundberg's life collapsed 3 years ago when she began to experience serious health issues with frightening neurological symptoms and her mental health deteriorating.
The intense anxiety, I would have what are called adrenaline surges up to 48 times a day, which basically feels like a panic attack. But you're not having a panic attack. Your body's having it without you, basically. That's how I used to describe it. I would have terrible twitching. My whole body would twitch. I would have Bell's palsy-like symptoms where my jaw would drag down and I wouldn't be able to speak.
She went to 20 different doctors, but no one could diagnose her.
Many of them just shook their head at me and told me to go to Mayo, or perhaps some suggested that I needed to be institutionalized.
Then she found a holistic practice run by alternative psychiatrist Dr. Mark Sylvester.
He vowed to stand by my side, and he said he would find out what was wrong with me, no matter what it took. And he did.
So psychiatrists help between 30 and 40% of patients that come into their office, which I don't know where you went to school, but that's an F every school that I went to.
Dr. Sylvester says the traditional approach in psychiatry has been largely pharmaceutically driven and largely unsuccessful.
And then you wonder why. Why are we missing 70%? Basically it comes down to a simple answer, because we're not ever asking the question why. What is the origin of this illness or this dysfunction?
And despite Sundberg suffering with panic attacks and anxiety, Sylvester knew he had to think out of the box because of all the other conditions she suffered with.
If we don't look at what's going on in the body, a lot of times we're going to miss the mark in healing the mind.
He took a hair sample and checked me for heavy metal toxicity. And he found that not only did I have mercury and a lot of other heavy metals on board, I had severe lead poisoning. I mean, off the charts amount of lead in my body.
That diagnosis was followed by an extensive holistic treatment plan by Sylvester and his entire team, including addressing functional nutrition, exercise, IV therapy, and more. Finally, Sundberg was able to go back to work, travel again, and feels forever grateful.
I meditate, I journal, I practice gratitude, and I just thank God and Dr. Sylvester every day that I made it through and I'm still here.
Meanwhile, Dr. Sylvester tells me before the pandemic, he'd see maybe one new patient a week. Now he sees over 20 new patients per week. And he feels the need for functional psychiatry will continue to increase for the next decade due to the mental health challenges from the last 2 years of the pandemic. For more information on Sylvester's practice, go to our website, abcactionnews.com/notalone.